The Atl-Tlachinolli, is it really a symbol of war, or are we missing something bigger? Before we get into the video, I want to show you something that I picked up recently in Mexico. 50 pesos. What's so special about these 50 pesos, you ask? Let's take a closer look. It looks like the symbol of the Mexican flag, right? Well, kinda. If you look at the beak, instead of holding a snake, it's holding the sacred Atl-Tlachinolli. Underneath it, it reads, "The foundation of Tenochtitlan, representing ancient Mexico." What do you think about the revision? Leave a comment below. Let's get to it. So what does Atl-Tlachinolli mean? At means water in Nahuatl. And Tlachinolli is taken from the verb ichnoal, which means to burn. From Tlachinolli, we also get the verb tlali. Tlali means earth, tierra. So Atl-Tlachinolli translates into agua y tierra quemada, water and scorched earth. When you see images of this symbol, normally it is represented as a stream of water intertwined with a band representing fire on earth. Check this picture out. Isn't it beautiful? The most well-known depiction of this symbol is seen in the foundation stone of Tenochtitlan. When the Aztecs migrated to Mexico, they saw a perched eagle on a cactus eating a snake. And prophecy foretold that in that place is where they had to build the infamous Tenochtitlan. Tenochtitlan was an Aztec or Mexica empire, kinda like the Rome of Mesoamerica. So the foundation stone is also known as the Teocalli of sacred war. Teocalli means house or temple. If you look at the stone closely, you can see something very familiar. Did you see it? Yes, it's the emblem of the Mexican flag. But there's something very different about it. Instead of an Atl-Tlachinolli in the eagle's beak, it's a snake. Mexica tradition tells us that snakes are sacred. They represented wisdom and the degree of initiation called Quetzalcoatl. So how could an eagle eat a snake? Snakes, to the invading Europeans, were evil. It was natural for them to hate snakes. After all, wasn't it a snake that tempted Eve to eat the apple in the Garden of Eden? No doubt, just propaganda against women and snakes. The Mexican flag today does not represent the sacred teachings of the ancient Mexicas. The books that our ancestors left us were not only written in codices, but they were also written in stone. Let's see a couple of other depictions of the Atl-Tlachinolli. There's a Tlalpan Huehuet de Malinalco, a vertical ritual wooden drum that shows carvings of the Atl-Tlachinolli along with warlike symbolism, like these dancing, crying jaguars and eagle warriors. And in the middle is a figure twisted into an Atl-Tlachinolli torso. Next is a shield of Ahuizot. Ahuizot is a mythical being who is half bird, half coyote. Look closely. By the mouth, you could see the Atl-Tlachinolli. That's interesting because the Tlatoli, the symbol for the spoken word in Nahuatl, is often seen coming from the mouth of someone who is speaking. This is important to take notice of since the Atl-Tlachinolli is mostly seen as a symbol of war. But what if we re-envision it as a symbol of the spoken word? This permanent struggle is explained as a coming together of two opposite elements, water and fire, blue and red, that coexist in balance and harmony. What? Yes, simply put, opposites attract. It's science. Let's watch this video where I explain it a little bit deeper.
Of your blood. Oh, and then so let's move away from that because there's another possible theory to. You see how the helicoidal symbol there is coming down the snake as well? In the Mexica tradition, that was called the Atl-Tlachinolli, or the glyph that meant sacred war, agua quemada, burnt water. The Atl-Tlachinolli was a symbol that expressed two contrary opposites, water and fire, coming together to create a third. Just like an alchemy, we have the king and queen coming together to create the child.
The sacred marriage.
The sacred marriage. So, seeing that these two, the symbols are intertwined together, they were creating this third that transcended from this material reality as steam, water and fire creating steam. And if we also see that representation in nature, the sun heating the water and that steam ascending from this material reality. And that was a philosophy. The philosophy of us transcending this material coil and ascending to a spiritual level. So I do have another piece of information for you with this, the helicoidal symbol, the Atl-Tlachinolli. If you see here, this is a representation of the Atl-Tlachinolli. That's what it looks like. And that kind of looks like a feathery, just feathers coming down the surface. And then you see that. So I was actually reading a book by James Matthew. And he posited that Olin, Malinali, and Nepantla are actual energy currents. Just like Olin is the movement of the sun, Malinali is represented also as the Atl-Tlachinolli. Does anyone know the current that starts with a T? So this could also be another representation of energy and motion coming together. And what I like to posit is that Atl-Tlachinolli is not actually two opposing forces coming together. It's two complementary forces coming together to create the third, the triangle. The triangle, the Rosicrucians also tell us that the triangle is two like the king and queen is two things that come into balance to create the third, to complete.
Two balanced opposites.
Two balanced opposites, not contrary, to create this triangle pyramid. So what the Atl-Tlachinolli is a flowery tree that is sprouting through this platform. And so in the middle, it would be the navel, the energy center. Through the bottom, there will be the place of the skull. There was actually remains found there. Giving further, this is my own theory. This is no one else has posited this. And on the sides, it would be a metaphysical quincunx. So it would be 1 point here, another point here, 1 point there, 1 point here, and then the navel here leaning down to the place of the skull. Through this, that toroidal current is flowing. A philosophical sense, because it's a flowery war, the sacred war, but it was like the Scatiboca, a war that we fight within to shed the mortal coil. And so will it be water descending and fire ascending? And it's the two coming together in creation or creative opposition, right? Creating that friction, but coming together, creating that friction, polishing that stone. But again, I find it to be not an actual opposition, but a union.
We are not done yet. I'm going to show you another example of the Atl-Tlachinolli in ancient architecture. El Templo Mayor de Tenochtitlan had two neighboring twin temples. One was for Tlaloc, the rain god, who represented water. The other was for Huitzilopochtli, the war god, who represented fire and the sun. Together, Tlaloc and Huitzilopochtli represented the sacred Atl-Tlachinolli. There was a Mexican archaeological article that said that there was red and blue paint going up the stairs of each temple, intertwining together. This is esoteric architecture, a sacred teaching encoded in stone. And let's not forget about archaeoastronomy. Yeah, I know. I will keep it simple, I promise. Kukulkan for the Maya represented the morning star Venus. Not that Venus, this Venus. Venus in Mesoamerica was not seen as a planet of love, it was seen as a planet of war. And it was sometimes represented as a skull, not a heart. And many sites in Mesoamerica were built to align to the heliacal rising of this planet. The Atl-Tlachinolli was also an astronomical symbol of the path of the sun's zenith over the sky. Agriculturally, this represented the controlled burns done on crops and the watering that came after to regrow the harvest. Spiritually speaking, we can attribute the moon to water, as we know scientifically that the moon influences the tides of water and we are made up mostly of water. So the moon's sway over us spans the realms of emotions, spirituality, and our physical existence. Ixchel is a Maya moon goddess that nurtures and heals us. That is love. Then Venus arose with the morning's scorching sun, waging a war on crops and people. The moon and Venus in this instance will complete the Atl-Tlachinolli. To sum it all up, our ancestors were not war-obsessed savages. They were people of high ideals. Let's read this quote. To the glory of that ancient society of great poets, mathematicians, philosophers, and warriors, who longed for a life among flowers and songs, and a death on the edge of the obsidian blade. Don't miss any of my videos. Subscribe now. Thanks.